What is going on? This is Cody, and we are broadcasting from the Seacrest Studios here at Children's Hospital, Colorado. We've got another special edition of the latest news to keep you in the groove with Maya. Maya, what is special about today's show?
Mena Suvari is calling in.
Woo! Mena Suvari, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm honored. Thank you for having me, and I just want to say hello to everyone there.
Excellent. Well, Maya, take it away, girl.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in. I'm so excited to be talking to you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you, Maya.
You too. Yeah. So my first question for you is, who or what inspired you to start acting?
Oh, wow. I actually did my first commercial when I was about 7 or 8. And I lived in Rhode Island on the East Coast. And it was, I think it was just like a fun outlet that my parents found for me. I did a little bit of like child modeling as well, but it was like a regional commercial that I did. And I don't think it wasn't like a specific person. I think it was just that I was really outgoing and they felt like it would be a good way for me to use a lot of my energy. So I sort of did some, child modeling, and I still have the original, they called them like go-see cards when I was like 7, with me with like a book going to school, or like a sand pail, like little photos. So I think I think it was just something fun for me to do. And then I took time off. We moved to South Carolina. And when I was about 12, I started modeling again just for fun. And then that led to coming to LA and doing a commercial. And that's what sort of kept me here in LA. So it was just, I think, originally for fun to do. I didn't really think that it would be a career at that point.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you've been in the entertainment business for a long time, and you've been in so many different shows and movies. Have you had a favorite project or character you've played?
I mean, it's always tough for me to answer that, because I feel like everything that I worked on, means something to me in a different way. And they all kind of happened for me at different points in my life, or it might have been a role that came into my life that really pushed me to learn more about myself. So it pushed me emotionally and spiritually. The first film that I did was a film called Nowhere with Greg Araki. It was in the late 90s here in LA, and it was pretty wild. That kind of got me, I think, into the business a bit more. And then, obviously working on American Beauty and American Pie were really wonderful for me, because I was just excited to be working. But I didn't have this concept of anything being successful at the time. I was really just happy to be having a job, and everybody was so lovely to work with. I've said that American Pie kind of gave me my high school experience that I never really had, because it was so beautiful. And, my character was like in the choir and dating the jock, and, everything seemed so perfect for Heather. But, throughout my career, there's so many things that have meant something to me. I've played a lot of people that were real life people, which has been challenging at times and really, interesting. I've played so many different people that, have really lived. And so that's been a great experience and a great honor in a lot of ways. But yeah, they've all sort of like pushed me to do something differently. There's a film that I recently did that's yet to come out probably this year, called Grace and Grit. and it was based. It's a book, and it is based on Ken Wilber and his relationship with his first wife, Treya Wilber, and it's about their love, and it's an incredible love story, and that really. I was so honored to work on it, but it really transformed me, I think, as a human being, taking on that project.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you played Allison Cowley in Psych and Psych the movie.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to say that Psych is one of my all-time favorite shows.
It's a great show. It was a great show. It was fun to play her because I was so mean.
Yeah, do you have any fun stories or memories from filming and working with the cast?
Oh, of course. I mean, everyone was absolutely fantastic to work with, and that show has been on for so long and been so successful, and I was a huge fan already coming into it, and so it was great to be able to work with these people, and it was fun playing a role that was so sort of sneaky in a way, and unassuming until you found out who she really was, and having these fight scenes and things like this. But I always love that kind of environment because I like to have a good time and have fun on set, and we were definitely able to do that because the rapport that they had and them being sort of jokesters was an awesome environment to work with, and very welcoming because, it's when you're going into a show that is so established and you're, just like a guest star, it always means a lot. Like when you're like, the new kid there and everyone's sort of like this family that's set up to be so welcomed.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So you were in the thrillers Trauma and most recently Don't Tell a Soul.
Yes.
Both are so good. What draws you to the thriller horror genre?
Oh gosh, I don't know, because I've always been into it. I don't know why. I've always loved horror. Really, I don't like gory horror. I like things that are more like thriller or supernatural, psychological. But I don't know. I guess it's fascinating to me. Trauma was a really interesting experience because, the things I had to do in that film, I had a spider in my mouth, like really, really traumatizing things. But that was a beautiful, that was a beautiful opportunity. We filmed that in London at the time, and that was really wonderful to be working there. And Don't Tell a Soul, we filmed, I think it's like a couple years ago, and we were in Kentucky, and that was great. I was like the last person to join the cast, so I felt really honored to have been thought of and to work with such an awesome caliber of co-stars, and again that kind of character where you think you know who she is and then she turns into someone that you completely didn't expect. I like that.
Yeah.
The twist, and the same with Trauma too. A lot of unexpected moments.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Do you have a favorite thriller?
Oh God. Well, more like a horror?
Either.
There's the first thing that came to my mind is a film that most people haven't seen called Entity with Barbara Hershey, and it's from the 80s. And I loved that movie. That really freaked me out. I think it's sort of based on a real occurrence as well. And I like, I appreciate films from that time in a way that, it it's not like nowadays where everything could possibly be CGI. So I feel like you had to work a lot harder and in different creative ways to create the environment that you wanted. That's one of my favorite films. I'm sure I have a million more. I'm so bad with the favorites.
I don't like horror movies.
Really?
I hate them, but I love thrillers. Like, yeah, I'm obsessed with those. But my sister and I were actually talking once. She was like, but thrillers are basically just horror movies. I made up a whole argument that no, because they do not go as far as horror movies do.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, Entity has a supernatural element, so that could be considered, more horror and scary versus psychological.
So I like the horror movies that are like the thrillers that aren't like creepy but are like kind of suspenseful and like psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, me too. I always loved, my father was a psychiatrist. I always loved psychology, and I was also really drawn to the criminal psychology. So I feel like if I hadn't become an actor, I probably would have ended up, like, that would have been like my dream job. I'm actually catching up now. I know I'm really behind in Mindhunter. Do you know Mindhunter?
I do. Yeah, I wanted to watch that, but my mom told me it's like
it's pretty
creepy. Yeah, she was like, "You're not gonna sleep," so I was like, "Okay, I won't watch it then."
Yeah, the character of Holden just feels like my idol on what I would have done if I hadn't become an actor. I just love that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's my dark mind where it comes from.
At the beginning of your career, I know you were in the Oscar-winning movie American Beauty, and you were also, like you mentioned, you were also in the American Pie movies. What was it like to be part of these movies that impacted a generation?
Oh my God. I mean, it's so special. It's a huge honor. It was a big surprise to me because, again, at that time, I was really just happy to have a job. It was that simple for me. And I didn't have the capability or the experience to really read a script or, audition for something and think, oh, this is going to be very successful. So I honestly thought that every movie was successful like that when they were, which they're not. But I just was very green to the business. I didn't really know that much. And so it was a very surreal time for me because I always loved the work aspect. I loved being on set and I loved being professional and things like this. And so I had to then try to understand what the success meant and what this recognition meant. But it's something that I'm, continuously honored and so proud to be a part of. I just never thought that they, some of those images, especially with like American Beauty, would become so, iconic in a way.
Yeah. So, what is the best piece of advice that you got when you first started in the industry?
Oh, wow. You're asking good questions. You got me thinking now, Maya. Trying to think. Well, okay, it makes me think of one moment that I never forgot. And it sounds like something very simple, but it had a huge impact on me. It was around like the mid 2000s. So this was after American Beauty and after American Pie. So it was a little bit after I sort of got into this industry. But I was working on a pilot in Canada for NBC. It was called Orpheus. And our director was Bruce Beresford, who's very acclaimed, and it was wonderful to be working with him. And he came over to me one day. We were filming in a car, I think. And just part of his direction that he gave me was he said, listen, listen, listen. And it just really struck me. And I never forgot it. And it moved me in a lot of ways. It had a big impact on my work and my approach. And, you know, I think that's so much of what we do is, you know, in acting is you're studying a project for a long time. You're becoming, I mean, depends on what your approach is. But for me, if I'm like, you know, reading a script, then I'm aware of the whole story. I'm aware of, you know, where it's going to begin and where it's going to end. I'm aware of the arc of my character, you know, and then I'm learning it. Let's say I'm memorizing my lines, and then I might be also memorizing the other character's lines if I'm in a scene, so that I know, like, you know, technically my cues and things like this, right? And making the choices on what I want to do in the scene. But then you have to forget all of that, because you have to remember that your character, if you're in that moment, if you're just in that one particular scene, doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. And so, you know, how do you take yourself out of that? And for him to say, listen, 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 is just being present. And so you know, it's like you're learning your lines and you're learning the story to then forget it, so that you can really be paying attention to what the other person is communicating with you and what you're supposed to be learning. Yeah, I never forgot it. It was something so simple, you'd think, but it had a big impact.
Cool. Yeah. So I know that you're involved with a lot of different causes and charities. Why is it important to you to give back, and how do you decide what charities you give your time to?
Well, thank you. It's nice for you to say. I mean, I think it's highly important. I feel like that's part of my job. I mean, I feel very aware of and very lucky for what I've been given in my life. And I want to give back, and I feel like it's my duty to give back. I try to, I mean, there's particular things that I'm passionate about, but then I might also try to research a charity. You know, it's important for me to know, like, let's say there's a fundraising opportunity, you know, where is that money really going? I really want to make sure that I'm supporting in the right way. But I just feel like that's sort of our obligation as human beings, you know, to give back to one another. And again, you know, having to get used to this whole concept of like recognition or fame or success that I have, you know, I never like to really consider myself that way. But if I do, then I want to make sure that I'm using it in a good way, in a way that's like, you know, cyclical. Because to me, if it makes a difference for someone else to, you know, hear my story or talk to me in some way, and that helps someone, then that makes me feel like I'm doing my work here, you know, in this lifetime, like as a human being in the right way, you know?
Yeah. Cool. So I just have a couple more questions for you, if that's okay.
Of course.
So is there a show that you're currently binge watching?
Well, Mindhunter.
Okay.
I'm on that one currently. And then I've also been really interested in, I think of another one. I like a lot of foreign shows that Netflix will pick up. There's one called Dark. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's German, but
Yeah.
that one's very like it's like hard to even describe. Like psychological, kind of sci-fi, futuristic in a way. Really, really interesting. But currently, I'm in the Mindhunter realm of criminal psychology.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom is like, she studied psychology, and so she's really in college, and so she's really interested in that. And so now my sister and I are interested in that.
Yeah.
And so we like watching all that, like shows with kind of that aspect to things.
Yeah, it's fascinating why people do the things that they do.
Yeah. Except for the shows like Mindhunter, where my mom said I would have nightmares if I watched that.
Yeah, because because that's more of the criminal psychology. So you've got the crime element, which, yeah, I don't know. I've always been into that kind of stuff. It's fascinating to me. That sort of led me to more child psychology. So I was able to take a lot of like extension classes and things like this because I felt like, why not learn about it from the source?
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So, if somebody narrated your life, who would you want it to be?
Oh, geez. Other than you, Maya? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, would it even be interesting? I mean, geez, that's a good one. I have no idea. I mean, I think anyone who's willing to be open and honest and tell the truth. That's all I care about,
Yeah.
No glossing over things.
Yeah. Yeah, I always like this. I always, when I ask people this question, it always gets me thinking about like their answers, and I'm like, that's a good person. Now talking about Mindhunter, I would say Jonathan Groff, because
I love that.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with him, like not in the non-creepy way, but like I love all of his movies and stuff. So, and I'm obsessed.
It might be like Anthony Hopkins or something random like that.
Oh, yeah.
In a large, armchair by the fireside.
Yeah. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve, just in general?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I guess in reference to what we're talking about, and with my work, it's challenging sometimes when you work on a project and people they don't know their lines. That's kind of tough.
Yeah.
It makes things tougher. But because I care a lot about what I do, and I feel like I think that goes into like the appreciation and the gratitude element of it, right? Because I always sort of feel like there's so many people that would give anything to have this opportunity. So we should appreciate, what we have and try to, be as professional as possible. There's a lot of people that are, especially within the entertainment industry, there's a lot of people that are working very hard, to make something happen. And so to me, as that being my pet peeve, I feel like that's what our job is to know the material and to, show up and be able to work with it. Don't be late, know your lines, things like this.
Yeah. So if you could have any song playing to announce your entrance into a room, what song would it be?
Oh God, I don't know. I love everything. Like I love classical music, but then that makes me think of, it'd probably be like some wild disco song or something because I love disco. Yeah, I'm a total nerd. I don't know. It could be some, it could be like The Hustle or something. Some like really funky disco song.
I like that.
Something weird, Maya. I don't know. I'm an Aquarian, so I'm all over the place. I like so many different things.
Yeah. My mom and my sister and I are all Libras, so we're all very indecisive. So the three of us trying to make a decision is very funny.
That's amazing. God, all three of you.
Yeah.
Incredible timing.
Yeah. My sister and I are twins, and our mom's birthday is 3 days after ours. So
wow, that's so beautiful, though. I love that. It's so spiritual. I love it. Very cool.
So my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
Wow. I mean, again, other than you, Maya, for doing what you do, it's pretty awesome. The way you give back and the way you share and inspire other people. I think that's what it's really about, is doing good with your time and caring. And it really meant a lot to me that you thought of me, and even wanted to talk to me. And I think that that's what's beautiful in this life, no matter how many insecurities I have or feelings that I have against myself, hearing from someone like you made me feel special. And I think that was really sweet and really beautiful. And I think just what you do is fantastic. The way that, we can be live with everyone in the hospital and give back, because I've just learned in my life that I think that's the most important thing that we're here to do is really communicate with one another and learn from one another. And it's not about, what we have or, whatever a lot of these superficial, superficialities of status might mean. It's just about being human at the end of the day. So I think I'll put that ball in your court, Maya. Give it to you.
Thank you.
It's true. It's really wonderful. I'm really happy to meet you and talk to you.
Thank you. I'm so honored to have met you and talked to you, and so thank you so much.
Thank you. All the way in Colorado.
Yeah.
Well, we have had such a good time chatting with you and hearing about all of your very cool experiences. And thank you so much for spending time with us here at Seacrest Studios and with Maya's show. And if you're ever in Colorado, the invitation is always open to stop by the Seacrest Studio and meet any of the patients here.
I would love that. That means so much to me. I really, really would love that. And thank you for thinking of me. And I send you all so much love and light, and be safe. Just I hope everyone is doing well and taking care, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. We wish you the best in the next few months, and we'll keep looking out for you on the big screen and our TVs, of course.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
All
you.
my love, guys. Take
Bye.
care. All right. Bye.